Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to TTV News with some last events in our province. And now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, on to continuing the program of meeting during the working sections on July the 27th, the 15th National Assembly discussed investment policies in the National Target Program on Sustainable Poverty Reduction and the National Target Program on New Style Rural Development for the 2021 to 2025 period. The majority of delegates agree with the government's report and the verification reports of the committees of the National Assembly. In the group discussion, Delegate Phạm Hùng Thái, Standing Deputy Secretary, Provincial Party Committee, head of the delegation of the National Assembly Deputies of the Ninh Province, suggested that the government have solutions to overcome the shortcomings, objectively evaluate the characteristics of each region, and thereby setting out a system of criteria that is appropriate and close to reality. In addition, the delegates also suggested that the state budget's capital should be concentrated to invest in rural infrastructure development. As for implementation of poverty reduction, it is necessary to have a basis control income, ensure the fairness, and avoid taking advantage of policies. At the same time, the implementation solutions need to be close to reality, must really promote efficiency. The National Target Program on Sustainable Poverty Reduction for the 2021 to 2025 period comprised 6 projects and 11 sub-projects, benefiting the poor, near-poor households and families recently escaped poverty across the country. Disadvantaged workers, residents living in poor districts and communes in coastal and island areas, vocational training establishments and job service centers in disadvantaged areas, relevant organizations and individuals. Meanwhile, the National Target Program on New Style Rural Development for the 2021 to 2025 period will benefit residents, residential communities, cooperatives, businesses, and socio-economic organizations in rural areas. It targets that by 2025, at least 80% of the communes and half of the district, townships, and cities in centrally run provinces and cities will meet criteria for new style rural areas.
In the morning of July 7, the volunteers of TayNinhTV Medical Intermediate School set out to receive the test under the direction of the Department of Health. Previously, TayNinhTV Medical Intermediate School, in collaboration with Tay Ninh Center for Disease Control or CDC, organized a training course equipped with skill and knowledge about taking samples for COVID-19 testing for volunteers of school. In this round, 120 volunteers who are officers, teachers, and students of Tay Ninh Medical College volunteered to take part in the special fight of collection of samples for COVID-19 testing. Volunteers have been present in epidemic health localities, at field hospital, and at intersectoral checkpoints, actually supporting the province COVID-19 epidemic prevention and control.
And since the government issued resolution number 68 dated July the 1st of 2021 on the number of policies to support employees and employers facing difficulties due to the COVID-19 pandemic, provinces, cities nationwide, including the Ninh Province, quickly put the resolution into life, contributing to minimizing the negative impacts of the pandemic and stabilizing production and workers' lives.
The Provincial People's Committee has also issued Decision number 15/2021 on July 22nd on the implementation of a number of policies in support of employees and employers facing difficulties due to the pandemic. Freelance workers are the most vulnerable and heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, the Ninh Province has quickly provided support to these vulnerable people, including lottery ticket sellers, garbage collectors, porters, waiters, and others with 1.5 million Vietnam dong per person who has time off from work or lost their jobs for 15 days or more. Only one support for one person. According to the Department of Labor, Investment and Social Affairs, the decision has concretized the relevant orders and procedures to ensure support for the right beneficiaries, thereby shortening the settlement time and increasing the responsibility of consultants and advisors.
And ladies and gentlemen, according to general information from the Labor Confederations of Southern Provinces, right after COVID-19 pandemic penetrated some enterprises with a large amount of employees, workers, and workers have to live with limited space. Due to the large number of workers and prolonged screening, workers are easily confused and fluctuating. Some businesses are passive because they had to prepare accommodation for workers at the factories following the detection of COVID-19 cases. Until trade unions at all levels have taken timely action to support their members and workers, the expenditure to support them in the southern provinces and cities is still behind schedule, reaching a low rate compared to the total number of affected infections. This is due to many executive committees of the grassroots trade unions and workers having been quarantined. Meanwhile, dossiers to confirm the benefit carriers to support payments submitted by the grassroots trade union and incomplete under the instruction and regulations. In the near future, the Labour Confederation of Provinces and Cities will enhance the communications of the Vietnam social insurance process of supporting enterprises and employees who have affected by the pandemic, as well as policies under the spirit of the government's resolution number 68. Trade unions at all levels continue to maintain review workers who are F0, F1 and F2 cases, as well as proactively coordinate with enterprises to respond to their emergency situations. And according to the General Department of Vietnam Customs, as to mid-July, Vietnam import-export revenue reached over $345 billion, with imports of over $174 billion as compared to $171 billion in exports. The country has seen the trade deficits of over $3 billion, and notably 31 types of goods recording imports revenue of over $1 billion, while 25 groups of goods enjoying export of more than $1 billion. Meanwhile, the General Statistics Office reported that in the first 6 months of this year, Vietnam sees further trade deficits of about $1.47 billion. And now we come into this news. Despite the trade deficits in the first half of 2021, experts still predicted that Vietnam will soon resume balance in the trade of goods thanks to the strong growth in production. The Ministry of Industry and Trade held that majority of spending was on materials, signaling the rapid recovery of the domestic production. Many production facilities have received orders to keep them busy until the end of the third quarter of the whole year, causing an increase in imports of materials. With strong imports of materials for production and the rapid recovery of the global market, Vietnam will record growth in export in the rest of the year and balance trade soon. The Ministry of Industry and Trade suggested that in order to complete the target of 4 to 5% growth in export revenue in 2021 and the trade surplus for the whole year, it is necessary to make a stronger economic breakthroughs. Along with grasping opportunities of FTAs, Vietnamese firms should continue to improve their product quality. And due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic over the past time, the production and trading of agricultural products has faced many difficulties, and the consumption market has narrowed and prices are volatile. Meanwhile, the output of agricultural products is affected. The prices of agricultural materials tend to increase, causing difficulties for the farmers. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected consumption and export of many agricultural products of the province, including the fruits such as custard apples, longanids, mangoes, and dragon fruits, as several fruit trees are entering their harvest season amid the complicated development of the pandemic. Local authorities are proactively taking measures to support farmers in distribution and consumption of the fruits. The 2021 harvest season of fruits and agricultural products in the southern region is taking place amidst the complicated development of COVID-19 pandemic. However, the local authorities have shown prompt support and measures to promote the consumption of the fruits. Currently, in Tay Ninh province, there is a backlog of many agricultural products that have been and are coming to harvest season, but have difficulty in connecting and consuming, such as custard apple with more than 800 tons, sweet oranges, and sweet mandarin with more than 100 tons, and more than 360 tons of Dimocopus longanids and Sung longanids. Vegetables also have a large backlog, such as taro with nearly 300 tons, commercial corn with more than 80 tons, asparagus, beans, goats, and zucchini with about 15 tons. Besides, there's also more than 12 tons of green mustard. According to the Director of the Tay Ninh Provincial Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, Nguyễn Đình Xuân, although COVID-19 pandemic has caused certain difficulties for the consumption and export of fruits, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development calls to the joint effort of relevant sectors, local authorities and farmers to push up the consumption and help the farmers overcome the difficulties caused by the complex development of COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, our immediate solution is collecting information from farmers to farms and send this information to the National Information System on Agricultural Product Supply and Demand to find consumption partners, and initially receive some feedback from Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi to purchase our agricultural products. We are currently connecting with the Department of Transport, Department of Industry and Trade to carry out the procedures of transportation and consumption of agricultural products. The provincial authorities have worked to connect farmers with supermarkets and e-commerce platforms while hosting conferences to boost the consumption of the fruits. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has actively coordinated with localities to work out plans to ensure the consumption of their farm produce. At the same time, to work 24/24 to deal with requirements of enterprises on exporting agricultural products in order to ensure the trade flow and avoid the stagnation of agricultural products amidst the pandemic. Meanwhile, localities should prioritize the consumption of agricultural products on the domestic markets while coordinating with neighbor localities to create favorable conditions for goods consumption and circulation. In addition, ministry and sectors to support localities in improving their farm products and connecting farmers with e-commerce platforms while helping them remove difficulties in the export of Vietnamese goods via border gates. And that's all for TTV News today. Thank you for joining us and see you more next time.